Hey guys, go ahead, coach.
How you doing, Steve?
Great.
I know the last game of the season, you always want something to kind of hang your hat on heading into the offseason. Offensively, what are the goals that you're hoping to hit this week?
Well, I think, we want to hit our explosives. We want to be able to run the football, and we want to improve on third and medium. Defensively, we want to stop the run. We want to be able to get off the field on third down. Those are kind of deals. Special teams, we want to be able to get our personnel squared away. Hopefully we have the right people back and kind of get, refocused with that group of people, secure some of the things that have popped up on us.
Do you have a feeling that you have an offensive identity, or you're still trying to get one established?
No, we know who we want to be. We want to be a tempo team that is going to be balanced and run and pass, have a great play action, and have be able to have a physicality in the run game. On defense, we want to be a team that stops the run, plays with a real physical front seven, and can get after the quarterback. So that's our identity. We're not searching for that identity. I think what we're doing right now is still trying to make sure we know personnel-wise where we are.
You've hit some of those goals defensively, but offensively, is it a little perplexing why that's been a little bit maybe behind the curve?
Not behind the curve. We couldn't run the football here a year ago. We just went against the best rushing defense in the conference, and we ran the ball for 4.1 yards a carry. They ran it, and they're the best rushing team in the conference. They ran it for 2.4 yards a carry. So we were able to get that done on Saturday. And our backs, those two backs, if you watched them, they ran really physically, really hard, and you saw the beginnings of what a run game should really look like. I think what frustrated me Saturday was, aside from the special team errors on offense, was our third and medium. It just wasn't good enough, and that's something that we've got to get done.
Steve, you talked a little bit yesterday.
Let me say this. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. The other thing that I took a really good look at was, a lot of people talk about completion percentages. So I went back and I watched it all. And, stats are important, but you got to make sure you got the right stats. And what I mean by that is, like, when you talk about completion percentage, what you want to do is watch every cut and say, okay, was it a bad scheme, a bad throw, or was it a good scheme, good throw, and a dropped ball, right? That matters because you're trying to evaluate completion percentage. So, like, for example, we did that in both quarterbacks. And, in both quarterbacks, one would be at 55% completion rate, one would be at 60% completion rate. It's not a huge swing in there, really. And that's something I'm looking at, because that's relative to third down as well. It's not all third down, but, I want to see where that is.
Steve, you talked a little bit yesterday about just the mentality of the McBride brothers and just what it was that kind of made you glom onto them. What is it about each of them as a football player that just makes them, that you like, that you see on the field, their abilities to play the game?
They're both explosive guys. They play in power, both of them. Toby was a phenomenal wrestler. He's a leverage guy who plays in power. He can rush off the edge as an end. He can defeat the run interiorly as a 3 technique. Trey is a very powerful guy. He has great ball skills. He makes a lot of one-handed catches. So he's very good ball skills, and both have an extremely tough finish mentality. So those specifically, their skill sets are, Trey's got phenomenal ball skills as a tight end, and Toby is a very explosive player, whether he's in the run or the pass.
And how valuable are those two guys to this team right now this season as you're going through all these other things? It seems like they're kind of real keys to what you're doing and what you're trying to build.
I think they set the standard. There's, like, anytime you're trying to get something done, other players have to be able to look and see it tangibly. Okay, that's what it looks and smells and tastes like. That's what it is right there. Yes, Sunday, when we had a team meeting, we put a cut-up up. And the cut-up was called toughness, okay, competitive excellence, okay, and point A to point B, meaning how fast do you go from point A to point B? And we picked out clips from the game of guys that represented those categories so that everybody could see what it should look, smell, and taste like and feel like. So that as you're talking about it, there's a visual of current players doing it. And that I thought was fairly impactful. And like Marcus's 2 runs, one on the goal line and one going in for a touchdown, were great clips for point A to point B, and then toughness, relentless effort. So those are the things we're trying to establish. So you're trying to get as many guys that can show that in practice and on the field, so guys can see what it looks like. You know, you always have to kind of see what it looks like if you're trying to learn. Okay, that's the standard. I see it. I want to get to that standard. And that's what we're really emphasizing the last few weeks. You know, and you know, the hard part for us guys is the inconsistency and just playing. I mean, you know, it just, you know, all those gaps are just really non-productive for us. And because we've had good practices, but you get into those games and the speed of the game, you know, there's something to being in a routine with the speed. I always used to get nervous about bye weeks, you know, especially when you start to hit your stride. You don't want a bye week. Then, of course, it comes to a point where you're kind of beat up and you're looking for that bye week. But we've never got a chance to hit our stride. And that's hard, but that's okay. I mean, that's what it is this year. But there's something to that. And our gaps are too frequent and too long. So, and then you get into practice, and I give our players a lot of credit because it's hard to sustain the level of intensity that we practice with after you've been shut out a game from, you know, you're canceled here, canceled there. So it's had I would say it's really worn everybody out mentally, but they've done a great job and handled it. I thought the staff did a good job. I thought the players did a good job. And I really believe that they understand that we've got a big picture in mind here. And that even though we're disappointed in some of our outcomes, we also understand we're building something that's going to be pretty special down the road. So that's our mindset. And I think as long as you know, they understand that and you're locked in and you're aligned together towards one common goal.
Just the final thing on the mindset. How ready are you for this to be the last game and get into the off season, get into recruiting? Or would you like to just keep finding, if there were a way to keep playing for another couple of weeks, you'd want to find a way to keep playing?
Oh yeah, 100%. I want to keep playing. My mindset is to find a game for us to play next week. I want to play. And, you know, I think what's happening is the conferences are tightening down, the budgets, the virus, and I get it. I understand that. I don't want to put anybody at risk. But if you're asking me would I want to play, heck yeah. You know, I love to play CU. I'd love to play whoever. I'd love to play. You get better by practicing to play and playing. You know, and if we can't, then we'll regroup and we'll go about the other pieces of development, get a little bigger, a little stronger, a little heavier, a little whatever, or maybe even lose whatever the individual deal is, and we'll go about that business. But I tell you what I'm really anxious for though. I'm anxious for this, and I know everybody in America is for in much more important reasons than football, but I'm anxious to just be able to get back together as a team and, you know, like, okay, so like, you know, if we all separate here next week or something like that, like we're all back together when? And then when we're back together, I mean, what's that look like? I mean, I'm anxious for that to be over. Just to be able to go back and work on what it takes to build a team, you know, because team is totally contrary to social distance. They just don't work. They don't go hand in hand. And so I'm anxious for that to end. I know all you guys are too, and all of our personal lives and far greater, more important things. We're all anxious for the vaccine to get here and as fast as we can to put this thing behind us and get life back to normal. God, I hope no matter what, I just hope and pray that when we get back this summer, you know, we're going to be back to normalcy.
Steve, you
Going
said
back and
Oop.
go ahead.
Steve, you said last week how you planned going in just to give Toddy a first half series and a second half series. Are you kind of approaching that situation similarly this week?
Yeah, we are. And,
Just,
you know, we'll see what happens.
For sure. Just what are you kind of hoping to get out of Toddy when you have him come in off the bench specifically?
Well, he's come off the bench and sparked us pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying he created it, but he came off when he came in the second half. We went right down the field and scored a touchdown. And in Boise, he came in and we scored 2 touchdowns. So I mean, I think there's a couple things. First of all, we're developing our team. That's number one. Okay. Number two, he brings a little different element in there with his legs that sometimes is a very good change of pace. So we want to develop Toddy, and we also want to be able to develop a change of pace. And don't think like he throws the ball really well. I think you're going to talk to Trey. I see him over here in a minute. He'll tell you the same thing. So, I mean, we're going to develop him. And but in order to do that, we have a series in the first half, and then we'll see what and we'll see what happens. I mean, everybody focuses on certain positions, but everybody's subject to playing well, and you have to play well. And if not, somebody else has to go in and give you a blow and let you come out and see where that goes, and that's just the way it is. And and so I want to develop the football team. And last week we played a couple extra linemen. Now we had some change by necessity. Keith Williams didn't play in the game, but we also wanted to get a couple guys in the game because why? I want to know when this season's over, I want to have the best view of our personnel that I can possibly have. I want as much information as I think I can possibly have without compromising something. So, we've got a bunch of freshmen on these special teams, and it's hurt us a little bit at times. But you know what? I don't want to go through that next year. I want to take a look at where they are and where the mistakes are, correct them, work with them. And because next year, you get better by getting your feet wet a little bit. And sometimes when you do that, it can be a little bit costly. But I'm pretty committed to that. So we've played a bunch of freshmen. We've rolled a number of guys. We're going to do a couple different things again this week, just to make sure that we continue down that path. And that's where we're going.
One of the guys who stood out to me in that San Diego State game was Thomas Penumbio. He's been a versatile guy for you this year, got threat on special teams. He's playing some defensive back. What is it about him that stood out and has allowed him, to become a pretty important contributor for you guys this season?
Okay, so like I said the other day, in recruiting, you want to get as many guys on your team that have these characteristics, right? They're tough, they have high character, and they have a passion for the game. He's a poster for that. He's tough as heck. He loves football, okay? Loves football, and he's unbelievable great human being. I mean, he's unbelievable. And we love him. We put him on scholarship, And we had some real issues depth-wise, COVID-wise in the defensive backfield. We moved him over there. He really is more of a wide receiver. He's a kick returner. He's a punt returner. I mean, he's a little dude, but he's a competitor. And that's what we're looking for in this program. Get me a bunch of Thomas Penunzios. Get me a bunch of Trey McBrides. Get me a bunch of Toby McBrides. I just go down the list. Give me those. Let's go. Let's get passion for the game, high character, toughness. You can coach those guys all day. And every day you come to work, you have the biggest smile on your face when you enter and when you leave. And that's what you're striving for, It's not just pure. Now, some of those guys have elite talent and some don't have elite talent, but it doesn't matter. I've been around long enough. I've seen too many guys that, you get seduced by talent sometimes, but it doesn't materialize. And I'm not, I want to develop our team, develop our program, develop our players, find the diamonds in the state of Colorado, develop them, take the time to develop them. Okay. And I think over the long haul, what you'll have is a very consistent, physically tough, consistent, high character team that represent the university the right way, that the alumni and the fans are proud to watch play, that teams play and they respect for their physicality. That just so you know, that's our goal. That's what we're trying to get done here. Okay. And I think you win a lot of football games. There are coaches in the past that have done it that way and it's worked, and it'll work again. It's not going to not work.
Speaking of one of those guys, Henry Blackburn is getting some recognition from the conference. Has he lived up to your expectations this season? What stands out about his game?
So the minute Henry got here, he was a freshman. He came here mid-semester, right? He came right when we came. We signed him. We made a decision to take him. Came from a really good high school program, And he came in mid-semester, and you could tell there's something different about him. You know, he was pretty mature. I mean, it's hard on a young freshman coming into a new program, doesn't really know the staff, blah, blah, blah. Well, he had a great work ethic in the weight room, came out in spring ball. He was physical. He was tough. He, again, high character, has a passion for the game, and is physically tough. I mean, he's far exceeded my expectations as a true freshman. I think we have what's got the makings of one hell of a football player here right now. Nice kid from Colorado. Beautiful. That's a win-win. That's a home run ball for us. We need to do that over and over and over again, as many times as we can.
Steve, I got one more question for you, and then we'll go to Trey McBride. But in your history as a head football coach, does a win give you that big of a jump going into the offseason, or is that overrated?
I think wins are never overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, above all, you want to win. Okay. And so a win is always critically important. But we are in the most uncharted times right now. So I can't let that define anything right now. It's so bizarre, herky-jerky, that, I mean, we're going to grind for that win, and we'll get that win. But I'm just telling you, that's not going to define where we're going to be opening day next year. I mean, it'll help. It'll help. But I'm really focused on, I want to see certain areas of this team develop and grow again more, take another step. And that'll really be important in my opinion. But of course we want to win. I mean, you get measured on wins. So, I mean, you want to win, and that's the goal. But this is a whacked out year that as important as that is, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things out of your control.
Makes sense. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, have a good day.
Thanks, Steve.
You guys get to talk to Trey. That's a good day for you.
Yep. What's up, Trey? It's a good day for us.
Yeah, what's up, guys? How are you?
Good. Hey, Coach talked about it. You've done some good things on offense and spurts. Is your one hope that this last game is that you put forth your first real consistent performance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're striving to do every week. And every week we've gotten a little bit better. San Diego, they run a crazy, hectic defense that you don't really see other than them, really. And that's why it's so tough, is because it's not something that we're used to. But I thought we handled it well. We were inconsistent at times, but this week I think we're really going to get that stride and really push forward and be able to be a whole unit as an offense and be very successful.
What has encouraged you that you've seen offensively that if you put it all together, you can have that type of game that you think you can have?
Yeah, I mean, exactly like last week. I mean, Marcus ran the ball really well. We blocked at certain times on his touchdowns. We blocked really well. There's a lot of, spurts that look really good, and the offense can look really good, as same with the defense. But I think this week is we can just kind of gel together and get it all going in the right direction and be able to be successful. I think that's what's going to happen this week.
Trey, when you guys Coach Addazio first got here, one of the first things he did apparently was schedule a dinner with you and your family in Fort Morgan, got to meet your parents. What was it about that? What do you remember about that? And it seems like from there, you guys just really formed a pretty tight bond that just keeps getting stronger.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Addazio, he's a guy that he's true to his word, and he's going to do exactly what he says. So he's a guy that we're all, have his back. Everything he's doing, we all believe in as a program, as players, as guys that want to play for him. Like, everyone believes in what he's doing and what he's got going. But honestly, that meant a lot to me to come out to my hometown, meet my family, meet my brothers, meet Toby and I. And that, it was just awesome. That's a huge reason why Toby came back and played, is because, he was going to retire last year, not play anymore. But He just kind of felt what Coach Addazio wants to do with this program and believes in Coach Addazio just like the rest of us. And we just want to play for him and get this program right.
Was it just that genuineness that you felt as to why you guys just kind of clicked? I mean, or was there something else that just really, when you met this guy, you go, this guy's, you've had a lot of coaches in your career, different sports, you've been around different people, you've seen different styles. Is there any one thing that just really jumps out about why you like this guy so much as your coach?
I mean, he's just a down-to-earth, hard-nosed guy, and he's a guy that wants to build his program on toughness. I mean, he told you the three things he wants, and toughness is one of his biggest thing, and that's something that I really pride myself on is being tough and being a good football player, and that's something that it was just a good thing that he came out and was able to meet my family, and he's just a guy that we support and believe in this program.
How much has it meant to get another season playing with your brother? And he's playing way more this season than he's been able to the last few years. What's that really mean to you personally, to him personally, and to your whole family?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. He's a guy who loves football, wants to keep playing football as long as he can, but he's battled injuries and it's been hard on him. He's been through a lot of tough times with all of his injuries. He's missed he's probably been out longer than he's played in all reality. So he's a guy that's just happy to see him, happy and love football again. I live with him, so it's just good to see him love football again and happy to come out and play football. It's nice to do that. And obviously playing with him is great. But it's just more the fact that he's happy and loves playing football, and it's good to see that again.
I guess final thing, this will probably be your guys' final game together. Obviously nobody's made decisions on the future, but Toby with the injuries and all, I'm guessing this might be definitely it, even though if the NCAA gives them another year, you've got a lot of different options. Have you thought about that yet? Just kind of the finality of it, this last game potentially?
Honestly, I'm just ready to play Utah State. That's kind of been the main thing that I've been focused on, trying to get the game plan down, get ready to go. And then when the end of the season comes, whether it's this week, next week, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, it doesn't matter. Then I'll kind of address those and go from there. But right now I'm worried on, getting this program another win.
Thanks.
Yep.
Trey, there was a moment in that San Diego State game where Barry kind of got into it with the San Diego State player. Looked like he was, defending his guy. How did the sideline respond to that? Is that something that fires you up when you see your teammate kind of looking out for his guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's good, obviously, to see that. During the game, I didn't really know what was happening. I thought Barry kind of took a shot. So I was actually mad at Barry, yelling at him. Going back and watching it, I'm kind of, it's kind of something that it's good to see that those guys have that fire in them and are willing to stick up for their teammates. If something happened like that to me, I would hope that they would do the same for me. It's good to see that guys have each other's back and that, the teammates are kind of coming together and forming that brotherhood, because that's kind of what it's all about. And I mean, it was really cool to see Barry stand up for Dante like that. It was awesome.
Yeah. You've been a part of a couple of different seasons here. Some of them have been kind of tough just from a losing perspective. It seems like everybody's stayed really up and positive this year, though. Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's excited and believes in what Coach Addazio is doing here. Like I said, he's a guy who's he came in and it's just been a crazy year. He probably hasn't been able to do everything he wants to do. We haven't been able to get together like he wants to. I know he's a real big family guy, likes to have everyone together, likes to eat, likes to, he's one of those kind of coaches, but with restrictions and COVID and stuff, he hasn't been able to do everything he wants to do to its full potential. So I think that's just kind of things that people are looking forward to is the next season and the future seasons, just getting closer and kind of getting to learn how the coaches are and what a real season is going to look like under him. And I think everyone's excited because they believe in what he's doing here and are excited for the future of Colorado.
Then the last thing I just wanted to ask you, one of the guys that stood out to me in that last game was Thomas Penumbio. He's been a guy, he didn't really play much in previous seasons, but he's, worked his way all the way to a scholarship. He's playing DB, he's returning kicks. What is your impression of a guy like him who's maybe not the biggest guy, but seems to play with a ton of heart?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's a guy who, when he first got here, he didn't really know what position he wanted to play. He was a guy who really did everything he was asked since he's been here. he works hard as heck. He's strong as heck in the weight room. He's a guy who's always getting extra work, always catching balls after practice. He just loves football. He's a guy that you want on your team. He's a guy that you want on your side, and he's a guy that he's been battling, and he finally got a chance this year to show what he's capable of doing, and he's got an opportunity to kick returns. He, like Coach Addazio said, there was the DBs were a little short, and he switched from wide receiver to DB that just kind of tells you the kind of person he is. That with no questions asked, he went to DB, started learning how to be a defensive back, and now he's getting reps on defense, which is just a guy that you want on your team for sure.
How impressive is it that he was able to make that transition fast enough to where you can actually trust him to play defense in the game?
Yeah, he's just an athletic dude. He's just fast as heck, and he just plays with a ton of heart, like you said. So whether he knows what he's doing or not, I'm confident that he's out there and he's going to do everything he can to prevent them from catching the ball. And he's fast as heck, so that kind of helps. When he makes a mistake, he can usually make up for it with his speed.
Trey, I got one more for you. What's it like going up against Scott Patchen in practice?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. He's a guy that transferred in from Miami, and he's a guy that I'm really happy he's on the team as well. He's tough as heck, and he's always around the ball. He's a guy it seems like he's always in on a tackle. I mean, his stats kind of show you what he does, but he's a good player, and I'm happy that he decided to come here.
Okay, thanks, Trey. I appreciate it. I think we're going to go to Cam next, right?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Trey.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Cam, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. So Coach was saying that there's been some good things that have happened on offense. It just haven't been consistent. So as an offensive lineman, what do you want to see your unit do consistently this week against Utah State?
Yeah, I think it starts with me, communication, and I think us just all being on the same page, and it starts there. And then it starts during the week too, really mastering their game plan. I know Trey just talked about that, and that's what we're all focused on big time. And just hatting guys up and just being as consistent as possible. But that starts with communication.
When you look back to last week and you averaged better than 4 yards a rush, is that something you really feel like you need to build off going into this week to make sure it's a step forward and not a step back?
Yeah, 100%. I think, we did some good things. And I think that there's plenty of stuff to build on too. So when you're going week to week, you don't have time to pat yourself on the back for some of the good things. You just focus on, all right, what can we build on? What can we improve? And that's what we've been doing.
Are you guys even more proud of that performance last week, just given you were down some key guys and were still able to, perform solidly against a really good defense?
Yeah, like I said, we did some good things. I think overall, you just focus on the outcome. And as a full team, as every stage of the game, I think all of us could have done some more things and we could have won that game, so that's kind of what you focus on in the end. And then you look at the film and you improve.
Cam, you've been around Coach Addazio before, obviously at Boston College and all. You look, he seems like he's formed a real tight bond pretty quickly with the McBride brothers, Toby and Trey. You've obviously probably seen those things before with other guys. What do you think it is about those guys and Coach Addazio that just made that connection click?
Yeah, I think, the McBride brothers are a special duo. You know what I mean? The second I met them, I was just so impressed with both of them, whether it's, off-season workouts in the weight room, leadership, they're all around talent. You know what I mean? It's just, they're incredible guys. And I think guys who love football and want to be coached, that's going to be a great relationship because Coach Addazio, he's really invested in his players on and off the field. And so I think that's why it works so well.
And what's it like having those guys as teammates?
It's awesome. I love them both. Yeah, it's not just awesome because they're really good. It's awesome because, they're really good people. And I think they're good leaders. They have positive energy. Just today, both of the brothers, making sure the energy's right. And, we're lucky to have them.
I guess final thing, this has been a difficult season. You guys have had 3 games canceled. You kind of ramp up for games. You lose them at the last minute. Are you ready to move on to the off season, or do you wish you could just keep playing, even if it's this patchwork situation for another couple weeks, couple months?
Yeah, I think, when I'm in the season, I'm really week to week. I mean, especially with COVID, as you know, there's a lot of unpredictability, but I don't look past, Utah State. Right now I'm in Utah State. If we get more games, that's awesome. You know what I mean? But I'm not even close to the off season until I'm there, and then we'll work on that. But right now it's Utah State, even if it can get a little messy with cancellations, but
Thanks.
How much do you feel like the cancellations kind of impacted what you guys were able to accomplish from a development standpoint? It seems like you guys have made great strides, but do you feel like you would have probably been able to do even more, if you got to play 3 more games?
Yeah, I think the more games you play, you can build on each things, and you have so much tape to work off of and just be coached up, and you really go through those, trials and whatever of, the changeover and the team learning each other in the games. And so I think that can be helpful, but I think we made the most of our time. When the games got canceled, the team kind of locked arms, we bared down, and we just, put in the work on the practice field. That's all we could do.
Hey, Cam, when you look at it as a player, do you guys really get a boost? Is there a big boost from winning the last game heading into the offseason, or is that kind of overblown?
I think we just want to win. You know what I mean? I think just like every program, the simple answer is we just want to find a way to win, and push this program forward and just keep developing and keep improving. But, that's just our focus, is just to get a W.
Yeah, but do you see, like, if you've won your last game, whatever it is, when off-season workouts start again, players are a little bit more amped up, fired up to get things going, make those improvements that every program wants to make?
I think with a win, it can definitely be motivating. That always feels great. If you leave off with a win, I think any team would agree that, they would take that, right? But,
yeah.
I think either way, it's kind of the same mission.
Perfect.
I know the situation hasn't exactly been normal. You probably haven't been able to go out and experience Fort Collins as much as you would have hoped to over the past, 6 or 7 months. But Massachusetts to Colorado, that's kind of a big adjustment. Is it starting to kind of feel like home here now?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big adjustment. I think that I think it's helpful. We got a lot of really good guys. With COVID, not a lot you can do. You really got to make sure you stay home and just be as careful as you can. But I was here in the winter a little before COVID hit, which was nice. And so I got a little bit of taste of, Fort Collins. And I think now, I've been out here for a bunch of months, and I think I'm getting pretty used to it. Yeah.
All right, I think that's it, Cam. Thanks, sir.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Cam.
Have a good one.
Good luck this
Thanks,
week.
Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks,
Go
Mike.
enjoy your 50-degree Colorado day.
And a gin and tonic.